Hello gorgeous soul friends, welcome to my channel, Madame Devaux. Thank you so much for tuning in and for allowing me into your wondrous experience today. You've probably heard people say before that everything is connected, and we see examples of this interwebbing throughout the structure of our society. If you have a keen eye, you've probably seen these strange connectivity of events in your life as well. These connections are often extremely subtle, and can even be so subtle that they're often mistaken for mere coincidence. But I'm here to tell you that there is no such thing as coincidence, and we have a much more fitting term for these occurrences: synchronicity. But before I break down the concept of synchronicities, let's talk about why we experience them in the first place. Ancient Hermetic principles teach that you are living in a complex matrix plane that is not only conscious, but is actively reading and responding to your emotional reactions in real time. You are living inside your own personal video game that is actively playing with you and is manifesting based on the decisions and the emotional responses that you are giving it. And it's forever generating as you go. So I'm always using video games as an example because they're just so great in terms of conveying esoteric symbology. Games like Beyond Two Souls, Heavy Rain, Detroit Becoming Human, or Until Dawn. Every decision you make determines the storyline and determines the ending. So you could consider this that same concept, but it's real life and you have way more freedom. Black Mirror Bandersnatch on Netflix is another excellent representation of this concept, and I would strongly recommend you watch it if you're interested in timeline jumping and all of that stuff. Symbology alluding to the idea of a holographic reality is littered in film and all other forms of media for a reason. And this is what spiritualists mean when we say you are co-creating your own reality, because you're in a constant partner dance with the higher power. It doesn't really matter what you refer to this higher power as, whether it's God, Spirit, Allah, the universe, it doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. And what is this thing, you ask? Well, my friend, it is the collective consciousness, which again is just another label describing the same concept. The idea that everything in our world can be traced back to a unified source. Every single person that you interact with on a daily basis, be it a positive or negative interaction, they are a direct reflection of your energetic state of being. Because as the law of attraction states, like attracts like. And even though there are 7 billion and counting people on the planet, you will likely only experience a handful of these people physically during the course of your lifetime. Every single person who comes into your field of perception is a reflection of you in some way, shape, or form. If they weren't, then they wouldn't manifest in your reality. That's just the law of reflection. Maybe you'll try to make plans with them and the plans consistently fall through. There's just never a chance to meet with them physically and interact with them physically, or maybe they just somehow delete all of their social media and they don't exist on the internet anymore. You know what I mean? It's one of those things, like, you will not perceive them. They may exist within this world, but you will not perceive them. They will not exist within your reality if you are not aligned with them. And this is why we sometimes see friends and loved ones, family members, all of that stuff, who fall away from our realities when we make significant changes to our lives. There's a misalignment, which means that the person cannot manifest in your reality. You could think of it like servers in an online chat room setting, such as Club Penguin. I don't know if you guys remember that game, but I used to play it as a kid, and I had a channeling the other day that kind of equated the physical matrix to these servers within Club Penguin. And basically, when you're aligned with someone, you're manifesting within the same server of reality, and you can perceive them and you can experience one another and connect. And when there is a misalignment, you could say that that same person is existing within another server of reality. So they're existing within the same reality, right? Like when you go onto these online chat rooms, you can go to the same physical locations, but you may not interact with the same people based on the different servers that you're in. The people that you interact with the most are the closest reflections of you. Your best friends, your family members, and romantic partners are all the people who directly reflect you and your subconscious behaviors the most. And part of the beauty of the human experience is that we can use these sometimes turbulent relationships as a catalyst for our own evolution. because as within, so without. A lot of people easily misconstrue the law of reflection, and they kind of perceive it as something that immediately absolves the abuser or manipulator of any responsibility. And I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. Because of this law, the abuser would technically be instilling that abuse upon themselves. Since you are just them in another body, the energy would then be reflected and manifested back into their reality in some way, shape, or form, as per natural law. So do unto others as you want done unto you, my friends, because it will come back in one way or another, I promise. The abuser, however, is still displaying parts of you that need to be healed because you're aligning with these people for a reason. Once again, as within, so without. We can typically identify these wounds through repeating patterns within our lives. An example would be a person who consistently involves themselves with people who cheat. This betrayal, according to the law of reflection, would be an external manifestation of an unhealed wound within the self that maybe causes this person to frequently betray themselves. And this happens so that we can identify our wounds, heal them, and evolve. And this is why sometimes you see people going back to the same abusive relationships time and time again, because they're not actually attracted to the person. Their soul is magnetized to the lesson affiliated with that person. And this is why self-reflection and inner work are so important, because even if the person does decide to leave this abusive relationship, if the wound is unhealed, this lesson or karma will continue to manifest through new people. So that's why they say, when the lesson is learned, the person is not attractive anymore. The collective consciousness isn't something that is outside of you. It's something that you're an extension of. Much like a branch on an ancient oak tree. You're as much a part of it as it's a part of you. A great example of this reflected within our world is in coral reefs. So particle physicist Garrett Lisi was studying coral and found that each coral head has thousands of different polyps that are continuously budding and branching into these replicated versions of themselves. After performing some heat tests on these polyps, he discovered that even though each polyp is attached to a greater conscious coral head, they're all still experiencing their own reality individually. We can also see this pattern being reflected within human consciousness, and that's why tarot readers are able to pick up such specific information about people's lives, because we're all just tapping into the Akasha, which is just another word for collective consciousness. They're all just labels at the end of the day. The thing is, all humans are connected to this energy field, and therefore anyone with an active pineal gland can consciously access information from this database. It very much mirrors neurons and synapses within the brain, because our brains are just a reflection of the organic megacomputer. And yes, I did say organic computer, which I know sounds like an oxymoron. However, our bodies and all life around us, including minerals, are organic technology that is fueled by life force energy, also known as prana by the yogis. And for us animals, that prana resides within the breath. Now, the conjunction of spirituality and science is something that is still widely rejected because for so long they've been viewed as things that are separate and are at odds with one another. However, when you detach yourself from the egoic thought patterns of seeing one side as more valid than the other, you'll notice that both are seeking the same thing. They're looking to answer the same questions, they're just going about different methods of getting those answers. So I like to think of them as the masculine and feminine counterparts to one another, whereas science is the masculine in the sense that it's able to bring understanding through numbers and rationale and data and structured testing, while spirituality is an interpersonal journey that uses experience, intuition, and reflection. Within the past few decades, we've seen a bridge begin to form between the two, and it's absolutely mind-blowing, the discoveries that we've made and the confirmation that we provided through science to a lot of these ancient occult practices. So let's backtrack 1,000 steps and talk about synchronicities and how you can use them to catapult you further down your evolutionary path. Synchronicities are specific points within the web of reality that are connected. According to Carl Jung, synchronicities describe the circumstances that appear meaningfully related yet lack a casual connection. I always like to think visually of synchronicities like ley lines on a map, and the points where the ley lines connect. For some reason, that's just how I visualize synchronicities in my mind, is just a point of connection between two paths or two things, much like a coincidence, right? Like, It lacks a casual connection, but there's still a connection there. And you don't know how it's there or why it's there, but there's a connection. An example would be somebody who consistently sees the number 333 repeated everywhere. Maybe they see it on the clock or on a price tag or on a license plate. Just consistently, they're seeing this number 333. It isn't just limited to the numbers though. You can sometimes see synchronicities within fated relationships, like finding out that your partner and you went to the same high school without previously knowing one another. Another example would be you and your best friend having parents that just happen to work at the same place. It's like that, you know what I mean? It's a lot of weird coincidences, quote unquote coincidences. That's just the name that's been given to them because they haven't been fully understood. It's just like, oh, it just happens to be that way. But our universe is too complex. It doesn't just happen to do things. There is no such thing as accidents. There's no such thing as coincidences. Everything is divinely orchestrated and perfectly planned out. It's extremely intelligent. It's alive, it's intelligent, and it's actively responding to you. So have fun with it. You know, test it out. Play games with it. Like, honest to God, like, you can test the universe and it will come through. Like, just ask it for a cup of coffee. You know, be specific. Ask it for a little thing. I always tell people, like, if you're new to manifestation and you're new to working with the matrix and, you know, hacking the matrix and all of that stuff, start with a cup of coffee. Start with something small. Manifest something really tiny and build your faith slowly, because that's how it works. It's all just a deprogramming process. Manifestation gets easier and easier the more you're able to deprogram yourself and to separate yourself from your egoic thinking and seeing yourself as one with everything versus seeing yourself as separate. So that's what we're all going through right now as a collective, is we're going through this deconstruction process where we're breaking down all of these things, all of these illusions that we've built up, telling us that we're separate. And these synchronicities are here to help you with that. They're here to help you deprogram yourself. And they can be very small or they can be very big, but regardless of their size, they're here to remind us that everything is connected. And when you experience this fascinating phenomena, you're being reminded to come back to your center and come back to your state of presence and consciously respond rather than react to the environment around you, so that you can create your life from a full state of awareness, which will in turn help you manifest a more fulfilling life, whatever that means to you, because we're all different and fulfillment means something different for each and every one of us. And the universe wants you to experience fulfillment. It wants you to be happy. It wants you to be in a state of samadhi, in a state of bliss. So it is going to help you get there, but you have to be willing to let it help you and be willing to deprogram. And deprogramming is not always fun, guys. Like, it's not a fun journey. The universe always comes through and rewards you for your inner work. It may take some time, but if you're active in your inner work, the universe will always come through and bless you in return. But that is the end of this vlog. I just, for some reason, felt called to make a video on this topic. I'm always talking about the collective consciousness in all of my videos, and I have so many people ask me, like, what does that mean? So here I am with a video describing what it means. But yeah, I hope you liked this video, guys. Please share with anybody who you feel may benefit from this. If you know people who are seeing numbers 1111, 333, 222, all of that stuff, like, send them this video. This is probably what they need to let them know that they're not going crazy. And if you're seeing these numbers and you're seeing these really odd coincidences happening everywhere, and it doesn't make sense and you feel like you're going nuts, you're not going crazy, I promise. But thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I'll see you later.